Artemis II is just the beginning. So for a look at what lies ahead, we're joined by CBS News space contributor Bill Harwood. He is at the Johnson Space Center in Houston. Bill, good morning to you. I have fallen in love with each and every one of these astronauts, as I think the rest of America has too. So what is next?
You know, it's interesting. Originally, the next flight would have been a moon landing around 2028, but the new administrator, Jared Isaacman, thought that was unrealistic. He's inserted an extra flight next year when another Space Launch System rocket and an Orion capsule will take off to low Earth orbit and practice docking and rendezvousing with moon landers that are currently being built by SpaceX and Blue Origin. If those flights go well, NASA hopes to land at least one and maybe two missions in 2028, sending astronauts to the south polar region of the moon. And eventually, the administrator says the agency wants to get up to 2 flights per year to send astronauts to the surface of the moon. As part of that, the agency is planning to build a moon base near the lunar South Pole where astronauts could live for, months at a time and establish sort of a permanent presence on the moon. That's the long-range plan. It's going to take a lot of money and effort to do that, but that's what NASA's hoping for.
I was so excited telling my 4-year-old last night, baby, in your lifetime, we're going to live on the moon. We might even go to Mars. The future is bright. But, we might have been worried about the heat shield or the launch. This is risky business. I know you were never worried. You never had a doubt. What made this such a success?
Well, I think it's not right to say I didn't have a doubt. I mean, anytime you're hitting the atmosphere at nearly 25,000 miles an hour, there's a huge amount of risk involved. But I think the success of this flight, you really have to hand it to the civil servants at NASA who've been working for years on this mission, all the contractors that built the rockets, the capsule, did all the flight planning and flight control at the Johnson Space Center. I mean, really, it was everybody. It was thousands of people working for years to make this mission happen. And I think it's a huge relief to those people that it went as smoothly as it did. There is a lot of risk involved in flights like this. They haven't done it in 50 years. And as I like to say, if you're younger than 53 years old, you weren't alive when Apollo was happening, which means a lot of those flight controllers and the engineers who built the rocket, to them, going to the moon was in a history book. Now it's real. And that's the result of their labor over years and public support to make it happen.
I think that's such a good point, Bill, because, I wasn't around, and that's why I've been so fascinated by this. But to your point, neither were a lot of the people that were part of this mission. I think that's a really important point to underline. But, we did it, 50 years ago or over 50 years ago. Why is it so important to go back to the moon, and what can we ultimately do? Obviously beyond the moon, manufacturing in space. What do you think is next there?
All of that. When they first went to the moon in Apollo, it was to plant the flag and put boots on the moon and beat the Soviet Union. It was a space race. This time around, they want to go to stay because they believe there are resources on the moon that can be extracted, and the moon could then serve as a jumping off point for future missions to Mars and out into deep space. So they do want to develop that commercial infrastructure around Earth and low Earth orbit while NASA presses ahead with the exploration of the solar system. So all of that together is a healthy long-range plan. Kelly?
All right. CBS News space contributor Bill Harwood, I have loved talking to you throughout this mission. Thanks for getting up with us this morning.